Should I post it? Should I post it in the chat?
I need somebody to be on to tell me whether the
Um,
service goes out.
okay, I'm here. I'm here. I'm here.
You'll let
I
me
have my
know,
Gemara.
Naftali?
Yeah, yes, I can. Yeah, I'm here. I'm gonna listen to the mission again. Have to hit
Can't hear
record.
you. You can hear me, Naftali?
Yes, yes.
Oh, it's off the speaker. Hold on.
I can hear you.
All right. This is round two. For those just tuning in, we forgot to press record. So we will Ahmed Bey's we started recording from the Gemara, so we need to redo the Mishnah.
Hold on, Tiago. I'm gonna make believe I'm Ira
So
Kaplan. Tiago,
What
you
do
want
you
to
do?
give us a hakdama? You want to give
what
us a
time
hakdama?
tomorrow?
What time?
No, hakdama, a little hakdama.
Yeah, I'll give it a little hakdama. What time tomorrow? Anyway, okay. Hakdama. So Bava Basra is the third of the Bavas, and it's really one Masechta. And Taisus brings the top Taisus, normally the previous Masechta. Taisus, okay, whatever it is, and Taisus brings, which we've had before in the Taisus, that Rebbe did not teach his Talmidim in the proper order that the Masechtas are in. Yeah. So basically, but the Taisus does end up saying, I don't think I said this in the original time. Taisus at the end says that the last parak of Bava Metzia was a bias for Aliyah, right? There was people living on the first floor, second floor, and it fell down, so they have to split the wood, right? They split the wood, they split the whatever fell down. So that's what we're talking about here too. When the wall falls down, so they split it. Okay, so basically, Bava Basra is a masechta of basically partnerships. Well, in the beginning at least, it's partnerships, and it's all about business. It's about contracts, kinyonim, partnership. How do you split things? And the first daf here talks about hezek riyah, which is damaging with sight, which is on Amud Beis, etc., etc. So it's all about becoming a mensch. Basically, it's about menschlichkeit. What is the proper way to deal with your friend, and how to properly treat them, and to be fair and honest. Okay, so on that note, we'll start. Hashutfin. So you have partners. So they want to make a mechitza and mechatza. One other thing we should say before we start is that, at least for this Mishnah, it's going to be dependent on, and the Gemara is going to say this, it really depends on whether you're mechuyev to put up a fence, is really dependent on what's the norm of society. Do they want a fence? Do they not want a fence? Is it the norm to put a fence? Is it not the norm to put a fence? And if there is a norm to put a fence, what type of fence are you supposed to put up? So these are the variables and what's going to be required. So Rashi points out that a chotzer is usually in front of the houses, and most of the work of basically the house, sort of like a bungalow colony. That's what we're saying, that this is like the day that everybody goes upstairs, sort of like a bungalow colony, where most of your life is outside. You just go inside the house to sleep. So most of what's going on is in the chutzner. So the question is, do people want to put a mechitza in the middle of the chutzner so that they have some sort of privacy, right? So, but here we're talking about a chutzner that just belongs to two people, and they want to put up a fence. So if they want to put up a fence, so shutrin shiratzu las mechitza l'chutzner, they want to put up a mechitza in the chutzner, b'aynin as a kaisel be'emtza. So they build the kaisel in the middle, meaning each one gives half the land, and each one has to pay for half the components of the wall. Live nice. If it's in a place that the meaning is to build gvil means rocks that are not finished. Gazis is rocks that are finished. Kfisin is a half a brick. Levainin is a whole brick. So bainin, then you're mechuyev to build. You're mechuyev to build that way. Meaning, what does it mean you're mechuyev to? Let's say I want to build the fence out of rocks. that are fancy. And my shutuf, the other guy in the chutzner, wants to build a fence out of a little piece of plastic that's cheaper. I can force him to pay the higher price for the mechitza if that's the custom in that neighborhood or in that medina to build a fence that way. Meaning he can't cheap out on me. He's mechuyev to pay for the fence that's considered proper. So hakol keminig medina, everything goes according to the minig medina. So whatever the minig medina is, whatever thickness the wall normally is, that's what I could force him to pay. Meaning he has to be normal. So we said that Taisus points out the bottom of the Taisus B'Gvil Zeh says there is such a thing as minig Medina, but there's a concept where the minig makes no sense, right? But because Taisus brings that you can have a community that has a minig that the fence is made out of what do we call it? I forgot already. Like with bushes and bushes.
You had a good name. Someone said a good name. I don't remember what it is.
Yeah.
Lattice.
Lattice work.
Yeah,
Right, it's a lattice work or something along the form of lattice work. But anything less than that, Taisa says, at the end of that Taisa says that's a minik hedjit. And he says, "Umachiach mikan de yesh min hagim she'en lismay chaleim afilu hechad detanan akol keminig amedina." Right, there are places that you don't have to rely on the minig because even where we say hakol keminig amedina, if the medina is stupid, then if it's a stupid thing and it doesn't make sense, then you don't have to keep that minig. Right? Sort of like the debate between the two presidential candidates. It's stupid. I'm listening, it's stupid. Right? So if you got none of these clowns making a minig a Medina, you don't have to, that's another in Yana Diyama. You don't have to listen. Yeah. Okay, so now the Mishnah describes what the rocks are made out of. Gvil, meaning how big the rocks are. Gvil, zen nice and gimel tfachim, is zen nice and gimel tfachim. So Gvil, each one gives 3 tfachim, because that's how big it is, which means 6 tfachim altogether. Because this is rocks that are finished. Zen nice and tfachim amechzer, zen nice and tfachim amechzer. This one gives 2.5, and this one gives 2.5. Right? The kfisin, which is a half a brick, zen nice and tfachim, is zen nice and tfachim. Each one gives 2 tfachim, even though it's a half a brick. Why 2 tfachim? Because there's a space in between the 2 bricks. We had that in a few blotting on Bava Metzia, like we said before. Tais is a continuing from Bava Metzia. So in Bava Metzia, we said that even though it's a half a brick, it actually has 10. It has 10 tfachim. 10 tfachim, 4 tfachim, meaning two of each, even though it's a half a brick. But with a regular brick, each one gives 1.5, right? Which is 3. So it's weird. I mean, that's not weird, but I'm saying half a brick. If each one is giving a half a brick, it's 4 tfachim. If each one's giving a whole brick, it's only 3 tfachim. How do you work that? That a half a brick and 2 half bricks equal to more than 2 whole bricks. So the reason is because half bricks, they put a space in between each brick. Right? Each brick is actually smaller, but since they put the space of a tevach in between each brick, so then that's how you get the larger size wall, larger thickness of the wall. The fikach. And this is fairly simple, but again, the Gemara will ask what the chiddush is. But lefikach im nafal akaisel, meaning therefore, since both parties built the wall, if the wall falls down, hamakim ba'avanim shel shneim, in the place, because each one had to give half the property, and each one gave the rock, half of the rock. So if it falls down, each one gets half the thickness of the wall because it belonged to them, and each one gets half the rocks, which should be pashut because they both gave in. And then the Gemara says the same thing by a garden. So what does this mean? If the place makam shenagu ligdor, if you live in a community where the minig is that in people's gardens is pshat. It doesn't necessarily mean a garden like where you grow. Meaning garden is just a place that you hang out. So if the minig of that Medina is that they want privacy, then mechayev and say you can be mechayev your neighbor to chip in to build the fence. Abu Babika, but in a valley, which is just basically fields, there's no hanging out there. It's just people planting fields. If it's a place where the meaning is not to build a fence, then ein mechayev and say you can't be mechayev him, because there's normally not anything done, nothing private is done in these fields. Therefore, if the minig is not to build a fence, you cannot require the other guy to build a fence. Elim Ratza, if you want, if he wants to build a fence, so then he has to build the fence inside his own property. He cannot take the property of his neighbor, and he could build it, but it's his own side. And b'meila, he has to put up a sign. He has to make a sign on the outside, letting people know, and we'll see in the Gemara what exactly the sign is, that it's his fence built on his property. Like this, if it falls down, everybody will know that the property belongs to him and all the rocks belong to him. Lefikach, im nafal hakaisel, if the wall falls down, again, we have to understand what the chiddush is of this. That's pashut, right? He built the fence, he built it on his property. So of course, if it falls down, then he gets that makom and he gets the stones. If he did it with the das of both of them, meaning they both agreed, so the b'nai kasel be'emsa, like we said before, you build the kasel in the middle, meaning each one gives half the wall. Then you make a sign on both sides to show that each one combined. The Gemara is going to ask, like, what are we putting up all these signs? We're worried about a scammer. Right? It's mashma is like, why are you putting up a sign so that the other guy doesn't scam the other guy? So the Gemara is going to ask, so do we start making takanas because we're worried about scammers? Okay, we'll see that in the Gemara Be'ez Hashem. The fikach im nafal hakaisel. So therefore, since both of them chipped in for the wall, so then if the wall fell down, then the makom and the stones belong to both of them. Like we said, again, we're going to have to see why the Mishnah is repeating this. Seems to be pashut. If they both gave in and they combined to build a wall, so of course if it falls down, then it's theirs. Okay, so that's the Gemara, and then I guess tune in. I guess you'll splice it, Peretz, yeah?
Yeah, I'm going to try to
All right.
splice it now.
Do we say a half a tillim?
Yeah. Not in middle.
Do we say a
Stop
tillim
the
backwards? Peretz, I gave